Hi there, this is Andrea Mowry of Drea Renee Knits, and today I'm going to be showing you a little bit of this stitch pattern which I have in an upcoming sweater design, and I'm going to show you basically how we get this cute little detail here. So I have prepped a little swatch here, and basically all we're going to be doing is lifting the center of this float and putting it on top of a stitch we are going to knit, and you'll see that in the chart. So I just wanted to actually do a little demonstration for you. This is for the Sprite sweater. All right, let's take a little peek here. So I'll demonstrate it first English wise, holding the yarn in my right hand, and then Continental wise, holding the yarn in my left hand. And I'm actually doing this a little bit backwards for those of you who are already in the pattern. I wanted to jump right to this kind of tricky bit, more tricky just to articulate in the written word than to actually perform. But then I'll show you how I got set up with this as well after I show you this bit. All right, let's get to it. So we are going to begin by just knitting these two stitches here. And then you can see here what I've got is 5 stitches, and depending where you are in the pattern, this will vary. But our goal is to lift up this float here, boop-a-doop, so that it's resting on top of this middle stitch, which we're gonna knit. So we are going to knit 2 so we can get to the middle stitch. And now we are just going to insert our right hand needle under the float, and then we're going to insert that needle into the stitch and just knit it. And once we've knit it, we can take it off of our needle and also just dip it right down so that that float is now behind. And that is how we're creating that really pretty little V shape. And then we're going to knit 2. And now I'm going to switch over to Continental to demonstrate that again. So here I have some garter stitches. I'm just going to knit across those. All right, and now I'm back to my 5 stitches here that have a long float in front. And again, I want this float to be tucked up over the back of my middle stitch. So I'm going to knit 2. Then I'm going to insert my right hand needle under my float, and I'm going to knit the stitch and then just bring my knit stitch under the float, and it's all set. And then I can knit 2. And then to finish off this little swatch, I have just 2 edge stitches here. So now you can see that all we did was we really just knit across those 5 stitches and then tucked our little float behind that middle one. All right, so let's work back across. In this pattern, you're knitting in the round, but I just want to get back to the front so I can show you how we got that float there in the first place. So don't mind me while I work across these stitches. If you are wanting to work on a little swatch with me, I just knit 2, I'm going to purl 5, knit 3, and purl 5, and knit 2. Okay, so now we're back to the front. So let's see, how did we get that float there to begin with? So I'm going to start right-handed English style, and then I'll demonstrate holding the yarn in my left hand Continental style. So we have our garter. We're going to keep that how it is. So I'm going to knit 2. And now we're back to my little stockinette section here. Get these guys out of the way. There we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring my yarn to the front, and now I'm just going to slip those 5 stitches with my yarn in front. So 1, and I am slipping them purlwise, so I am inserting my right hand needle tip as if to purl, and then just slipping it straight over. That will keep your stitches from getting twisted. So that's 3, 4, and 5. And now I simply return this yarn to the back so that I can knit. And what I like to do to make sure that my float isn't too tight is I just stretch these stitches out. And now I'm ready to knit the next 3, which again is my little garter section. And now you can see there is that little float just hanging out in the middle there. I'll show this again, Continental. So I'm going to bring my yarn to the front. I'm going to use my right hand needle inserted as if to purl. And then I just pass my stitch from my left hand needle over to my right. And I need to do that with 5 stitches for where I'm at in this swatch. Again, in the pattern itself, this amount of stitches varies. You just follow the pattern. And then I give it a little stretch. And then I can go ahead and knit my little garter stitches here. And that's it. So again, when I come back across these, I'll show you one more time, even though we haven't quite built up the same amount of fabric that you will in the pattern. I'll demonstrate it once more, because why not? Why not have a little extra demo there to see it one more time? So I'm just going to work across my wrong side row once more to get where I need to be. In the pattern itself, you actually need to work, I believe it's 3 rows or 2 rows, I can't remember exactly, before you're going to do this, but it tells you in the pattern. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to knit 3, and then purl 5, and then knit 2. Okay, yeah, so in the pattern you would work, I think, 2 more rounds before you get to do this bit, but I'm just going to show you again, because now it might even make a little more sense now seeing how we got that there. So again, I'm going to start with English style first, holding the yarn in my right hand, that's also known as throwing, and I'm knitting my little garter stitches. All right, and I am up to my slipped stitches and my float here. And you always want this to end up being tucked up the middle ones, whether you have 3 or 7, however many stitches, we're always going for the middle one to tuck that float up. So for me, I have 5, I'm going to knit 2. I'm going to insert my needle under the float, knit this stitch, and then just bring that float up over, and now it's hanging onto the shoulder of that middle stitch. And now I can just knit and knit. Let's do it Continental once more. So I am going to knit 3. All right, so here we go. Here's our 5 stitches. I'm going to knit 2. Insert my right hand needle under the float here. And then I'm going to knit my middle stitch. And you can either bring that float above now, like this, and take everything off, or you can finish knitting and then lift it up. It's kind of up to you. As long as you have it already inserted under the float before you knit the stitch, whatever's more comfortable for you is totally fine. And now I'm going to knit 1 and 2, and then 1, 2 once more for my garter. And that's it. And that is how you create these cute little textures. There you go. I hope you found that helpful, and happy knitting.